Hello all, this is Nina and thank you for tuning in for the 32nd episode of the Audible Weed Walk. Last week in the podcast and in my work to try to unhinge the culture of eating wild uncultivated green that we often end up calling weeds from any culture and social stigma, I realized that it does not only have the stigma of being a food for the poor, but also perhaps of those considered in the bottom of the caste ladder. I don't know how it is in other countries, but surely that's the case in India. Stepping out from the reality, if we look, we know that we have a treasure trove of information with our elders in certain communities and of course, not to undermine the ever-progressing fields of science. Have you ever wondered, like me, when you find that to eat something, you need to first treat it, for example, with sour curd, and then dry, then eat, or add a little something that makes a very unpalatable vegetable, behave such that it will not prick pins in your throat, and there are examples like that all the time. Have you ever wondered the process that went in to arrive at the stage where it is a standard practice? For several such practices, I have followed up with inquiry to get a scientific explanation, and most practices were supported by science. That's even more amazing because these are the science that was created by the people over the years and over centuries perhaps. I find it fascinating. So our true tradition is not the tradition of memories and practices of forgotten reasons, but it is a tradition of inquiry that we need to continue to refine. It's a tradition that allows us to be in tune with nature and learn. Our tradition is that of query and true knowledge that is useful and beneficial to all and for all. That is the very essence of science. In our daily lives, we can keep it alive in so many different ways, and being a weeder is just an easy one. This way, we can follow old practices, we can alter them, and we can learn something new to add to our pantheon of tradition. Perhaps. Do you feel right now, oh my God, what the heck she is talking about? Well, let me give you an example for each one of them from the weedy bunch. Number one, I said that we can follow old traditional practices. The plants we call mantakali or black nightshades, there are actually two distinct species under that common banner, black nightshade. Have green fruits which should not be eaten. They are toxic for human consumption unless they are ripe. But they can be eaten and drawn benefit from if unripe fruits are treated. As per our tradition and our traditional knowledge, the green fruits are treated with sour curd and salt and then dried. These dried fruits can be rehydrated and eaten in curry. They are absolutely delicious and nutritious at the same time. It is a traditional knowledge that holds all tests of time and science. If you're wondering, mantakali, which includes 3 species that are often put under the banner, includes 2 black nightshades, Solanum nigrum and Solanum americanum, plus a reddish-fruited plant which with very similar to these two, which have black fruits. It's called Solanum villosum. Each one of them have a slightly different benefits, but all of them are known to have anti-inflammatory properties, great for stomach issues, ulcers, skin problems, and variety of other uses. Then come to my point 2. If we can perhaps alter the knowledge that we already have. I have found that traditionally sundakai or turkey berry, which is a plant that came to us originally from South America, it's called Solanum tervum. It's eaten in a particular way. The unripe berries, actually we call it berries, they are actually not true berries, but they are fruits. They are cut or smashed to take out most of the seeds and then sauteed and eaten in a curry for fresh. But they're actually much more preferred dried. What is done to preserve them is quite common. They are actually the smashed part of the berry. The smashed berries are parboiled with a little bit of salt, dried, and then treated overnight with sour curd and salt, and again dried, and then they are preserved. This preserved version is called Sundakai Vattal. It can be rehydrated and added to make the most delicious food. It is also good to follow tradition because it makes it really healthy and delicious meals. But treating these berries with anything sour, tamarind, vinegar, kokum, without cutting and having to draw out the seeds and go through the entire process is also possible. They taste different but delicious too. And it does not take a lot of time. So here is an example where we are veering away from our traditional knowledge, but not totally. Our traditional knowledge can remain, but we can learn different uses, different ways to use the same fruits simply by changing how to use them and having perhaps a different acquired taste. If you're wondering, yes, as I always say, all plants are medicinal and some are edible. Solanum torvum also has a range of nutritional and medicinal benefits. It is good for kidney, pulmonary functions, and great for healthy gut and many other wonderful benefits. Now we come to number 3. My third point was, can we learn something new? As a kid, I often used to think, oh my gosh, I should have taken birth much earlier. I felt that I missed out on being a pioneer and discovering so many things, and everything seemed to have been already understood and known by people who came before me. Such silly thoughts. Even if we see our relation with nature, we know that nature is a continuum. So how can our learning be locked in some time and only in some scriptures? Our learning are around us, with us, and evolving with us. An example of these is Ancestosia Gangetica, or the Gangetic Primrose. It is not known to our tradition as part of our traditional bunch of edible greens. The only explanation I can give is perhaps it had arrived relatively more recently than, say, Mantakali, which originally came from Africa and perhaps also Australia, and Sundakai or turkey berry, which came to us from South America. Gangetic primrose, unlike its scientific name, which carries the name Gangetica, it also originated in Africa. It has found its way to us, and it is a prolific. It grows prolific with flowers in the shades of white, mauve, and purple. Quite beautiful. They are not only great to eat, both flowers and the leaves are absolutely wonderful to eat both raw and cooked. But the flowers are also great pollinators. Its use is not traditional, but we can build a tradition around it. Since my edible weed coloring book was published and people have tried and tested some of the leaves and also have added the flowers in teas and salads, they have even given a common name. Some people in Auroville calls it mushroom leaves, as it gives a full earthy flavor, albeit very mild. So, is this the beginning of a new tradition? You bet. Since I have briefed you about the medicinal properties in the other two examples, here it is for Ancestosia Gangetica also. One of the common names of this plant is Chinese violet. It's a very well-known medicinal plant in the Chinese medicinal pantheon. Powdered roots are considered analgesic and used in treating stomachache and even snake bites. Leaves are also supposed to be analgesic and can also treat a range of ailments including asthma, rheumatism, etc. A word of caution here. If you know and confident that some plant is edible, please do eat. By incorporating uncultivated wild green safely into your diet, you will bring in the nutritional properties, the rich micronutrients, the life force of these tough, wonderful, gorgeous weedy plants into your lives and plates. But if you want to use them as medicine, you need to consult a naturopath. It does not have to be Ayurvedic practitioners only. We have so many traditional naturopathy in our country and beyond. Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Yoga, Sowa Rigpa, which is a form of Tibetan medicine. And also some listing also would include homeopathy and Bach flower therapy in that list, because it also is based on treatment and that the source of which comes from nature. One characteristic in all these nature-based treatment is that what I call it relational. They are not just mechanical treatments, but they go down to the causes. Often, the practitioner ends up being a shrink, listening more than recommending. But out of that comes out a correct treatment that custom recommended for that individual. The same plant, the quantity used, eaten fresh or dried, time of intake, how it is taken can change. As a reader, you will soon realize that all the nice nature-based medicines and supplements that you see in capsules, in bottles, are growing just around you. Incorporate the edible ones in your diet. Does not have to be a lot, just a handful is fine. However, if you want to use them as a medicine, then ensure you consult a naturopath you trust. We are in a tropical country. Many of the plants have strong toxins. They are also beneficial if we know how to use them. They nourish us and also medicate us. Noticing, knowing, and learning about weeds is one initial step to build a relation and keep in tune with nature. Nature that we are part of. To understand, to respect, love, and to take care. In the process, we nourish our heart, soul, and body. So, if you are tuning in now, to remind you, there is a weed walk tomorrow morning. The details of it is in the news and notes, and you can register and come by and start the process. That is all for now. See you next week. Stay well and stay safe.